Chosen one, pause for a moment and rewind the last 2 hours of your life. Does it feel foggy? Like time moved, but you weren't fully inside it? You were awake, but not present. Scrolling, but not absorbing. Thinking, but unable to recall a single clear thought. There's been this subtle agitation in your chest, almost like you're expecting something important to come through, yet nothing ever does. Hear me clearly. You're not just distracted. You've been interrupted on a spiritual level. About 2 hours ago, heaven initiated contact. God opened a channel to release something significant into your spirit. But the instant that connection began, interference followed. Mental static, sudden fatigue, irritation that didn't make sense, a haze you couldn't explain. That wasn't random. It was disruption. While your mind wrestled with noise, God remained steady in the quiet. He didn't withdraw. He didn't change his mind. He's still there. And right now, we're going to turn the volume down on everything else so you can hear what has been waiting for you. That pressure you felt earlier, the tightness in your chest, the tension in your jaw. It wasn't anxiety the way you thought. In Book of Revelation 3:20, we read, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." Most of us picture a soft, polite knock, but the original Greek word used there is kruo. It doesn't suggest a gentle tap. It implies force, vibration, a presence so close you can feel it pressing through the barrier. What you felt wasn't panic. It was pressure from the other side of the door. It was God pressing against your awareness. But because the signal was scrambled, your body translated holy intensity as stress. And now you've been blaming yourself, calling yourself unfocused, undisciplined, spiritually dry. You've been accusing yourself of wasting time or drifting from God. Stop. That self-condemnation is part of the interference. If the enemy can keep you obsessed with guilt, you'll never notice the message trying to break through. Think back to the moment it shifted. You reached for your phone with a pure intention. Maybe to read scripture, maybe to send a prayer, maybe to look up something meaningful. But before you could act, a notification dropped in. A video autoplayed. A headline grabbed your attention. And suddenly, 20 minutes were gone. You looked up feeling drained instead of filled. That wasn't coincidence. That was interception. The enemy isn't obsessed with stealing minutes. He's obsessed with disrupting timing. Because what God is transmitting right now isn't small. It's direction for your next season. It's clarity about your reassignment. If that download lands, you become a threat to darkness. So the strategy wasn't destruction. It was distortion, static, noise, emotional clutter. And that's why you need to stay present until the very end of this message. Don't drift, don't click away, because we're going to expose what was blocked. And I'm going to show you how to stabilize your internal signal so this interference loses its grip. To fight this, you have to understand the terrain. This isn't only spiritual language. It's neurological reality. Your brain functions in frequencies, like a radio. When you're stressed, overstimulated, scrolling endlessly, racing deadlines, your brain operates in high beta. Beta is survival mode, fast, loud, reactive. It's useful in emergencies, but terrible for spiritual clarity. God doesn't usually communicate through chaos. He speaks in stillness. Theta is the frequency of calm focus, creativity, and deep connection. It's the space between conscious thought and inner awareness, the place where insight drops in quietly. Right now, many of you are trying to receive an FM broadcast while tuned to AM static. It's not that God is silent, it's that the dial is off. We see this pattern clearly in 1 Book of Kings, chapter 19. Elijah waited for God on the mountain. A violent wind tore through the rocks, but God wasn't in the wind. An earthquake shook the ground. God wasn't in the earthquake. Fire erupted, but still not there. All high-intensity events, all loud, all attention-grabbing. But then came a gentle whisper. That was where the presence was. You've been scanning for God in the storms of your stress and the flames of your anxiety. Meanwhile, He's been waiting in the whisper. So how do you know when you're under interference instead of just ordinary distraction? There are signs. First, phantom urgency. You keep checking your phone without reason. You feel like something happened, even when nothing did. It's hyper-alertness without cause. Your spirit senses communication, but your body looks for it in the wrong place. Second, mental looping. One negative memory or worry replays endlessly. You try to pray, but your mind snaps back to that old mistake, that financial concern, that betrayal from years ago. The repetition isn't random. It's mental static keeping you from tuning upward. Third, sudden irritation. Small things spark disproportionate anger. A minor inconvenience feels explosive. That friction comes from competing internal states. Your spirit trying to ascend while your environment drags you back down. If any of this resonates, breathe. You're not unstable. You're just misaligned. Here's the reality. Reaching that quiet inner frequency is harder than ever. In ancient times, prophets withdrew into silence for days. They fasted. They separated from noise. They created space for clarity. You live in a world engineered for interruption, notifications every minute, responsibilities stacking endlessly, speed rewarded, stillness discouraged. It's not that God has grown distant. It's that constant stimulation keeps you tuned to the wrong channel. In Book of Psalms 46:10, we're told, "Be still and know that I am God." The Hebrew word translated as "be still" is rapha, meaning to loosen, to release tension, to let your grip fall open. It's not just a spiritual command. It's a physical posture. But how do you loosen your grip in a world that demands constant pressure? How do you slow down when survival feels tied to speed? That's the tension you're living in. And breaking the interference starts with learning how to step out of noise, even for a moment, so the whisper can finally be heard. If it truly required 20 years of monastic isolation to master this level of clarity, would that mean you're disqualified from ever hearing God clearly? No. God is fully aware of the era you were born into. He sees the constant notifications, the deadlines, the endless stimulation. He understands the noise surrounding you, and He has already accounted for it. What if there were another way in? What if instead of fighting through decades of silence, there was a shortcut, a way to slip past the interference and bring your mind into alignment with heaven in minutes, not decades? What if modern science is only now discovering what prophets understood long ago? Listen carefully. The enemy didn't try to interrupt this message for nothing, because once you understand this principle, his static loses power. Chosen one, picture a tuning fork. Strike one that's calibrated to a specific pitch, and any other tuning fork tuned to that same pitch will begin to vibrate, even if you never touch it. That phenomenon is called sympathetic resonance. For years, you've been trying to force yourself into stillness, trying harder, concentrating more, pushing your thoughts down, and it's exhausting. But what if you stopped forcing and instead introduced the right frequency? Your brain, designed by God for harmony, naturally synchronizes with what it's exposed to. It's not mystical hype, it's called entrainment. The mind aligns with consistent external rhythm. That's the back door. There are audio technologies designed specifically to guide the brain from high-stress beta waves into calm, receptive theta waves in a matter of minutes. Think of it like a tuning fork for your nervous system. This isn't about hacking your spirituality. It's about restoring your original design. Research has shown that young children operate primarily in slower brainwave states associated with imagination, creativity, and deep receptivity. As adults, constant stress pulls us into faster, survival-based patterns. The world conditions us into noise. Tools like brainwave entrainment simply help your mind remember how to slow down again. 7 minutes, not 7 years. You don't abandon prayer. You prepare your mind for it. It's like wiping dust off a window before trying to see through it. If this resonates and you feel prompted to explore it, I've placed more information in the pinned comment. There's no pressure. But if something inside you feels stirred, pay attention to that. Now here's why this matters. Because once the static clears, the message that's been waiting can finally land. And here it is. You're being reassigned. Not just promoted. Reassigned. The strategies that worked in your last season won't unlock the doors in this one. The way you prayed, led, worked, related, that belonged to a previous chapter. The new chapter requires a deeper authority. And that authority is accessed in stillness, not strain. But notice your reaction. When I say reassignment, you don't feel thrilled. You feel nervous. A knot forms in your stomach. A whisper rises, "Who am I to do this?" They'll find out I'm not ready. I'm not qualified. That voice isn't proof you're unfit. It's evidence you're stepping into something bigger than your ego. In Book of Exodus, chapter 4, Moses responds to God's calling with doubt. "Who am I?" he asks. He points to his weakness, his speech, his limitations. And what does God do? He doesn't withdraw the assignment. He says, "Who made your mouth? I will be with you." God doesn't choose the most polished resume. He chooses the available heart. Your sense of inadequacy is protection. It ensures that when the power flows, you won't mistake the source. If you felt completely capable on your own, pride would sabotage you. That trembling, it's humility. Stop letting the enemy weaponize it. But hear this warning. When you begin aligning with this new assignment, when you start quieting your frequency and stabilizing your focus, resistance will attempt a comeback. Sudden emergencies, unexpected drama, artificial urgency designed to pull you back into chaos. Stand firm. Let me tell you about a woman. We'll call her Sarah. She owned a struggling consulting business, drowning in debt. 18-hour days, constant stress, operating purely in high alert mode. She begged God for answers and heard nothing but silence. Then she learned about frequency alignment. Instead of grinding harder, she began spending 7 minutes each morning in guided brainwave entrainment before touching her phone. The first few days felt uneventful. On day 4, in that calm space, a phrase surfaced in her mind. Blue ocean. It didn't make sense at first, but she explored it. That phrase led her toward a completely new market strategy. She pivoted. 6 months later, her revenue had tripled. She didn't hustle more. She listened better. The solution had always been available, but she had been operating too loudly to receive it. This is the posture described in Book of Habakkuk 2:1. The prophet says he will stand at his watch and look to see what God will say. Notice the elevation. He positions himself above the noise of the city to hear clearly. That's what you're doing. You're climbing above the static. And now we seal this moment. You don't need a church building for this. You are the temple. If it's safe, close your eyes. If not, soften your gaze. In your mind, see yourself standing tall in the spirit, shoulders back, head lifted, not timid, aligned. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the rhythm. That beat is proof you're still here, still chosen, still called. The reassignment isn't coming someday. It's beginning now. And this time, you're tuned in. That heartbeat you feel? That's not random. That's the cadence of calling. Now we commission you. Father, in the name above every name, we step boldly into the courts of heaven. You have seen the battle this chosen one has been fighting, not just for the last 2 hours, but maybe for the last 2 years. You've seen the fatigue, the mental haze, the frustration of trying to break through what felt invisible. Today, we declare the interference ends. The jamming signal is dismantled. We seal this reassignment deep within their spirit. We come against every whisper of imposter syndrome that says, "You're not ready. You're not worthy. You're not enough." We silence the accuser. We shut down the narrative of inadequacy. Their mind is no longer a battlefield. It is a sanctuary. It is tuned to the frequency of heaven. I declare peace over their thoughts. I declare alignment over their nervous system. I declare that when they enter stillness, they will encounter you immediately. Not eventually, not faintly, but clearly. Over the next 7 days, let the download complete. Let clarity sharpen. Let strategy unfold with precision, so undeniable they will know it did not originate from human logic. Let doors that refuse to move suddenly swing open. Because the key was never force, it was alignment. Let draining relationships lose their grip. Let divine connections be drawn toward them with magnetic accuracy. Shift their environment to match their new authority. Chosen one, hear this question in your spirit. Are you willing to carry this new weight of authority? Are you willing to look unconventional to the world so you can move in wisdom in the spirit? If your answer is yes, don't whisper it. Shout it inside your mind. Let it reverberate through your inner being. Say it now. Yes, it's registered. The decision is made. The alignment is sealed. You are no longer searching for the signal. You have become it. Walk in that authority. Move in that clarity. Stand in that reassignment. You are released.